What do you call those people? The crew. And yeah, they're standing around and Ruggero's there, and I don't know who he is. I don't know anything. And I get out of the boat, and here's what I learned. If you ever go to the Amazon, you'll find this out, that there's no rocks in the Amazon. It's all mud. It's all mud. And so from the boat, they had these planks that you had to walk up to get to the sort of dry land up there. But wherever I was, if you push a pole down into the ground, it just keeps going because it's just all mud. So anyway, mud. I'm telling you that so I can tell you something else later on, okay? It's called foreshadowing. Now, I might not remember to tell you the other part, so please remind me. So we got to get off the boat. I'm walking up the planks, and here's Ruggero. He goes, what a face. What a wonderful face. What a movie star. Costume, makeup, all right, get over here. So they put me in a costume. They put makeup on me. They handed me a camera. I haven't read the script. I don't know the name of the movie. I don't know his name. I don't know anything. All I know is he goes, stand over here. Okay, so I'm standing over there holding his camera. He says, you're filming it. Pretend like you're filming this. Pretend, right? I'm acting. He thinks I'm pretending, okay? It's a big difference. So what is there is this guy named Jorge, who was playing Felipe, who was the guide for the crew that I'm the director of this documentary film crew. Okay, so what's happened immediately before this is he got bit by a snake, and he said, quick, hack off my leg before the poison gets to my heart. So that was the leg I saw floating down the river. Okay, so they got him buried up to here, and I believe, and so it looks like he's got a hacked off leg, and I filmed his death. This is the first shot I'm in, is him dying, and then they said, okay, that's it for the day, and they packed us all up and put us back in the boat and took us back to. So here's the first mistake I made. I read the script over dinner. So is that a long version of the answer you were looking for?
That's perfect. I read it over dinner.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You probably weren't able to finish that. Okay. So
well,
now,
I'll tell you this. I threw up a little in my mouth.
And then we swallowed it and then back down. Okay. So now that you know what you got yourself into, was the idea after you read the script and you kind of knew what was going to happen? Like, okay, I'm gonna straight treat this as an actor and treat the material this way, as opposed to one actor may look at that and be like, I can't go there, right? I've seen how some of the actors have responded since to the film.
How have they?
They don't seem happy.
Oh, right, those guys, yeah.
But you have I know, right? That's what
actors are so weak.
You still have, like, you know, a jovial sense of humor about it and understanding that it's just a film. So did you get any of that vibe from any of the other actors? Like, oh, there's certain things we don't want to do and we're going to fight this.
That probably didn't start till like the next day.
Okay, perfect.
So here's my dilemma here. You know, people come to these things and they want to hear stories about the movies, and it's show business, you know? It's show business. There's a lot of the real shit that you don't really want to hear. I don't think. I'm guessing, you know, because I'm not a fan in this situation. But I have been a fan in other situations. When I heard things like that kind of burst my bubble, I didn't want to hear that, you know? But too bad for you, you showed up, you're gonna hear it. By the time I got there, I think everybody hated Francesca.
Okay.
Okay? So now Francesca played my girlfriend, She's Italian. She came over in a plane with Luca, who was a farm boy, I guess a farm boy. He's now in the Italian Parliament. Do you all know this? He's rich. He's backed a bunch of Roman Polanski's movies. Yeah, and so this is Luca. So Luca, very immature at the time. I hope he doesn't hear this because it'll hurt his feelings. But he was hoping to get, what do you call it? They call it hooking up today. I keep using that term from like the last century, which just means, oh, we met. I didn't fuck any of the people I hooked up with in the last century. All I did was like get together and maybe have coffee. Okay, so but he wanted to hook up with her, and then she wouldn't because she was kind of fussy, and I suppose, or maybe she just didn't want to. And then so now he hated. By the time I got there, he hated her. Okay, so now he was rooming with Perry, who played the blonde guy, who was my character's best friend.
Okay.
So they're rooming together, and now they hate Francesca, and then it was Perry's best friend. This is a soap opera. Now we're into like
a soap opera in the jungle.
Yeah, now we're into like year 4 of like all these relationships. Okay, so Perry's best friend was the guy who quit. The guy whose shoes I came to fill. Literally. So Perry wasn't really that friendly with me. So I was kind of thrown together with Francesca as allies, and then they were allies. And is this giving you the look that you're looking for?
This is making sense.
So I made a little strategic sort of decision because Francesca wasn't really my favorite person for a variety of reasons. One is she didn't speak very much English, and I needed help, with that. Although she did do some translations for me, and then Luca translated for Perry and like that. Okay, so but I had read the script, and the script said that I had to have a love scene with her. And my strategy was, I don't want to be enemies when we have to do this love scene. I want to try to make it real. So the next day, I go to the set, and I got there about 5 or 6 days after the rest of the crew. So they'd shot a bunch of stuff, and they'd rearranged some of the language, some of the speeches, because it's a documentary. There's this narration, and they'd given some of it to Francesca, who I think had played maybe an extra in a Shakespeare play one time in some little town outside of Rome or something. I don't know. She didn't have any real experience, but she had these big speeches she was supposed to do in front of the camera, like narration. So the next day we get to the set, and she's like, okay. And she starts doing it. Ruggiero's like, stop, you stupid bitch. Fuck. And she's like, oh, fuck you. And it's like, they're fucking yelling at each other. Okay, so it turns out that Italians are kind of passionate, and you can't tell when they're about to start stabbing each other. So I'm like, okay. And so is this the part where I know what I've gotten into? No.
Yeah, no.
Not yet. That's
Fair.
the monkey. Remind me when we get to the monkey.
Okay.
Okay, so they're yelling at each other, and she's giving it back as good as she's getting, and they're screaming and yelling. 11 takes later, he gives me some of those words. So now I'm doing these speeches, and she's like over there, okay, so now she hates Ruggiero. Let's see, how does it go? We hate, everybody has somebody to hate, which is very comfortable. So then, I don't know what, that was Friday. Saturday we had half a day. I don't know what happened overnight. All I know is that she was entirely compliant.
I would say probably a stern talking to.
So Italians might do stern talking tos different than we think.
Okay.
So I heard some like screaming and moaning that night.
Okay.
That might have been a stern, some other kind of talking to.
Sternling to?
Yeah, a sterning to.
Sterning to.
Let's call it a sterning to.
That's perfect.
now it's Saturday, we work half the day, and I get Sunday off, and oh no, and then Saturday night, we go to the disco in the jungle. So 20 minutes away is Brazil. This is the Tres Fronteiras, where Peru and Brazil and Colombia meet on the river. And 20 minutes away, there's only one road. There's this little town in Brazil, 2 discos, wouldn't you know it? Because it's 1979, and Joey Travolta has just come out with his landmark album, you know, that we all remember. You remember Joey? No? Yeah. Joe. Yeah, not John. It was Joey. And both discos were playing that album. So we get to this little town, and we go into this disco, and we're almost there. I'm almost understanding where I'm at now. We go into this disco, and in the back room of this disco, there were 4 kinds of money, right? There was Peruvian, Brazilian, Colombian, and American dollars, which ruled. And you could get pretty much whatever you thought you needed that night in the back room of this disco. And I went there, I got what I wanted, I got what I needed, and then I was cool. And then I go back out to the dance floor, and about midnight, the door flies open, and these army men with rifles come in, and they like clear the floor, and they make all of us stand against the wall. I'm like, nobody will even know I died. You know, they won't know, because all they got to do is throw my body in the river, you know, and like, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. Oh, it's my wife. Sorry.
Answer it. Hello?
Hello? They want what? Somebody to kill a pig? Oh. No, I didn't kill the pig. Yeah, I would probably do it this time. How much? Okay, yeah, no, I'll kill the pig this time. Okay. So I just made that up.
So all this is happening while they're playing Razzmatazz by John Travolta?
Yeah. So they clear the dance floor. They clear the dance floor like this. And now we're all standing there like, okay, how are they going to do it? Should mow us down? What are they going to do? Lights come up, and then this 14-year-old girl, maybe she was 16, I don't know, comes out and does a floor routine. You know, she's like spinning around and doing flips, and I'm like, I'm kind of loaded, you know? And I'm kind of like, not sure I'm seeing this. I'm not sure. I'm like asking the camera guy next to me, I spoke some French, he spoke some French, I didn't speak any time. I'm like, are you seeing this? You know, he goes, yeah. And then she gets done, and then she leaves, and then all the army men filter out, and then the lights come down, and then they turn on the music. And we're not sure what happened, you know? But we found out that she was an Olympic hopeful from Amazonas, which is one of the states in Brazil. And this was I don't know what this was, but it was
a tryout.
A tryout. This was her chance to like do it in front of an audience. And then we went back, and then I got to just sit and write my journal on Sunday. Yeah. Okay, so
I couldn't imagine being in a bar and then cops bust in, everything's all serious, and then there's pause, and they're like, dance circle.
That was it. And then, so then the next week was very, very interesting. This is the monkey. Are you familiar with the monkey? You know what they did with the monkey? They made one of the natives very, very happy. That's what they did with this monkey. Because the natives are, they consider monkey brain to be a delicacy. Which, we Americans, we're not so much into reaching into the skull of a live animal and scooping it out and eating it. We don't do that very often, you know. I know there's people who do it. I feel one of them. I'm not judging you, you know. But when we got to the set that day, and that was the set. Now you're asking me, did people rebel at all? Was that one of your questions?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this was it. This was it. Although that Friday when Francesca and Ruggiero were screaming at each other, she came over to me and she's like, "Fuck it, I'm walking off of this picture," you know. And I'm like, I talked her out of it. You know, I said, you know, you don't know that this isn't going to be, I don't know what the fuck I said. I was talking to myself.
Special effects trickery?
Was that?
Special effects trickery?
I wondered about that. I said it out loud to him. I said, what happened to the magic of the movies? You know, like where you go, where the thing goes, and then you cut to some, you know, little fake doll thing.
Cauliflower.
Yeah, exactly.
Hero
So they said, well, we have a skull with some gray old tuna fish in it that we were going to use for the close-up. I'm like, but you're still going to like cut the monkey's skull apart with the camera.
They're like, yeah, we got to get that shot.
Yes, exactly. It's like, and Ruggiero was like, and I only have 2 monkeys. Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna do it.
Oh my goodness, did you hear that? You just made my day, thank you. So, okay, so what happened? So, almost everybody on the set was so disgusted with this that, and some people threw up, and we were hiding behind trees going, God, is it over yet? You know, and then finally it was over, and as soon as it was over, lunch, and we all went to lunch. And lunch was consistently like cheese sandwiches, like really dry cheese sandwiches. And
But substance nonetheless.
which one?
But substance nonetheless.
It was. I was ravished. I can tell you, because we're all close personal friends, that I was really, after the monkey, I was hungry. You know, it's like I was pissed I didn't get some of that brain. You know, who knew? Who knew? Until because like the guy says in Chinatown, like until you're in that situation, you don't know. You don't know. So, but that guy, the guy who got to scoop those brains out, man, he was happy. So,
well, and that kind of takes me to the other concept of it is similar to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you have these people kind of stuck in Texas in a house for 2 or 3 days filming this movie, and things start to get a little crazy. When you're there on location, you probably just start rolling with it. You become desensitized. So you start with a monkey and then you go to the turtle.
well, here's the good news. They did the turtle before I got there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah, and I didn't know about it until now. This is in honor of the turtle.
You know what? You told me about this earlier on. Hang on a second. I'm an idiot. I'm such an idiot. You told me about this shirt earlier on, and you were talking about how it's perfect. And I'm just now noticing the turtles on the damn shirt. So yeah.
So you're right. There's a thing called highway hypnosis. Do you know this? If you've been driving for a long time, you kind of like hypnotized. And when I fell victim to highway hypnosis, I ran into the back of a tomato truck. That's a whole different story. It doesn't have anything to do with the cannibal holocaust. But when I told people, I hit a tomato truck. You hit a tomato truck? It's like it's just me in the truck, and I on the road, and I just ran into him. Anyway. You're right, there was kind of a highway hypnosis here. And also, if any of you ever worked on a movie or in a play even, or any of that stuff, you become a little group, you become a sort of a psychological pod, and you know exactly who the outsiders are, and you know exactly who the insiders are, and there's no way in except to be in, and there's no way out except to be out. And so yes, as these things, and Ruggiero, so now we got to talk about Ruggiero, because he was one major asshole. Can I say that now that he's dead? You know? Yeah. I've done a lot of these shows with him, you know, and I wouldn't say that in front of him because I don't want to hurt his feelings. He's just an asshole, you know. But I don't know if you can be a director and get what you really need without being an asshole. And sort of a major asshole, you
This
know.
is the Hitchcock method as well.
Well, you can name 1,000 of these guys who, you know, who are, have you ever heard of like prison psychology? Do you know what this is? These guys in prison who know how to like work you, you know, and to get whatever it is they want. And that's what a good director has, who can get into your mind, who can read where your weaknesses are and exploit them. And if they exploit them properly, they get the shot that they want. Because you said, when I'm reading the script, did I see places where I didn't want to go? Yeah, I didn't want to rape that girl. I don't want you guys to think of me as a rapist. And I don't want to think of me as a rapist. But as an actor, my job is to portray a rapist. So where do I get that? Do I just kind of like, you know, pretend? Because pretending, you'll know if I'm pretending, you know? And so I have to, did I tell you I trained with Uta Hagen? Yeah, okay. So, you know, I gotta find it in me somewhere that my inner rapist, let's put it that way. Which is not the part of me I want to connect with, you know? But in order to do what they hired me to do, I gotta do that. And so I was able to do that. Poor Francesca, she didn't know how to do that. So when we did the love scene, did I skip anything? Were you supposed to remind me of something?
Mud.
Okay, now, see, I didn't even want to talk about the rape scene. I thought I could just talk about it theoretically and get it over with. That day, I don't know if I pretended to be sick, but I got sick that morning. I didn't want to go to the set. I didn't want to do this. I wanted everything to just fucking stop. And I could, you know, there was the monkey, there was the other monkey, there was the, oh God, it's just like snowballing, these one thing after another that I hadn't anticipated, didn't want to be part of, and I was just like really sort of nauseous. And that's how I was that morning. I'm like, now I have to go be a rapist, you know. So we get to the set, and we had to do that rape twice. We did it the first time with, sorry, some people are kind of sensitive about rape. Okay. We did it the first time with our clothes on. That was for the Arab countries. Because you can rape people, that's okay, but you can't be naked. Okay, so we did that. Then we did it with our clothes off. So here's why I told you about the mud. It looks like grass, like we're all used to grass. You go walk on the grass and it's their grass. But once you start squirming around in that, it turns to mud. And so, you know, I think Luca was the first one on. I'm holding her, you know, and then Jack, he's next, and I'm holding her, and something like that. Now it's my turn to rape her. By this time, she squirmed around, and it's like this little mud, this mud is happening. So now I'm like reaching down for my inner rapist, and I'm not getting there, you know? I'm really not. I'm jumping on her, and I'm like,
Covered in mud.
but I'm not covered in mud yet, not yet. Here's what happened. She was a pro. For a 14-year-old who had never probably even seen a movie, I don't know, man, she was really, really good. And she like really fought back, and she clipped me right in the chin and chipped one of my teeth. And that pissed me off, you know? Because I'm nothing if not vain. And it's like, now I'm here in this movie with a fucking chipped tooth. Are you kidding me? Now they got a doctor to film and everything. And so I'm pissed. But I wasn't pissed enough yet. Francesca comes over as my girlfriend. It's like, what? You're cheating on me? And she grabs me and pulls me backward. I sat like butt first in the mud. this mud goes right up my ass. And now I'm pissed. Now I'm really pissed. Because, and here's why. Because they said when you go into the river, the Amazon River, that there's these things called amoebas, and that they'll penetrate you in any orifice of your body. And as soon as I sat down in the mud, I knew I was going to have to get in the river to wash myself off. And now I'm going to get some kind of amoeba that's going to eat my stomach, eat me away from the stomach out, you know. It's like, and I'm pissed. And then I jumped on her, I raped the shit out of her. And that's what it took to get to my inner rapist. Is this too much?
No. Well, I think what people have to remember is that this was planned to look like this, and that to build the narrative of the movie, to really place these characters and what's going to happen at the end of the movie, you have to have them doing these horrible deeds. These deeds are, I mean, there's multiple movies that have these things occurring, but in this particular one, I think what made it so jarring for people was the documentary style.
Yeah.
That's what, that was really, I mean, there's tons of movies where those kinds of things happen, but not in documentary style. Then you feel like you're watching something
actually happen.
Yeah. So I think that's where that's where sometimes people have a hard time separating it. But if you look at the movie as a whole, it's necessary for what's going to happen.
It's absolutely necessary, especially because my direction from Ruggiero about my character, and you know, when you're working a stage play, you have weeks and weeks of rehearsals, and you discuss, you know, what your objectives are and all that shit. When you're doing a movie, it's not like that, you know. You don't have a lot of rehearsal, and if you have a good director, they give you an image, you know, they give you an image, and then you play that somehow. And he was really good at that. But what he told me, the first thing he told me was, it was a little stupid, but he goes, "You're a ruthless American documentary filmmaker." I'm like, I don't think those things go together. I don't think that all fits together in one sentence. But I was a ruthless American. So ruthless. This was who my character was. By the way, when you get to TV, you get no rehearsal. You got to bring it. You got to bring it. You just got to bring it. Whatever, and you got to bring it at the audition, because whatever you do at the audition, that's what they want to see on the set. So that's your lesson in acting.
So as you're building up in this movie and you're getting close to the last 20 minutes of it, it gets extremely violent as the tribes begin to descend upon the American documentary film crew and brutalize them, kind of mimicking, a few of them are kind of just desserts, essentially. How much communication did you and the other actors have with the native tribal people about, oh, this is what you're gonna do, this is how you're gonna do it, I don't want...
I had none of that. I didn't have any. That was probably Salvo's job, Salvatore, because he was the assistant director and he spoke all these different languages. I'm pretty sure he was the one. I had every confidence that Ruggiero wasn't the one. You know, he barely spoke English, and he really just spoke Italian. And he wasn't, you know. So I had none of that. Here's what I had with the natives. We did the love scene. If you're ever gonna have sex with somebody, I just want to warn you: don't do it in a hut with a bamboo floor. It fucking hurts. Because unless they sort of flatten it out somehow, because it's like, you know, it was like all uneven, knots in my back. I was getting, you know, cramps and shit. It was awful. Okay. So I won't go through that blow by blow, but we did this take 5 times. I just got to tell you this one thing. After the first take, Ruggiero says to me, "When you take off her shirt, I want you to show her tits to the camera." I'm like, okay. So get to the next take. I'm taking off her shirt. I'm maneuvering her to get her. This is an MOS, which means without sound. So you can't hear any of the things we were saying. So she says to me, what are you doing? And I said, Ruggiero said to show your tits to the camera. She goes, fuck Ruggiero. I don't want him to show my tits to the camera. And I'm going, okay, well, okay, you know, there's not much I can do there. So we go through the whole thing. And then, then the screaming starts. The screaming, and back and forth,
Between he and her.
Between he and her in Italian. So then he's like, I'm gonna talk to you over here where everybody can hear us. Okay, so he goes out in the jungle, and the jungle's got a canopy, and it echoes. So now there's the screaming and echoes, and the echoes of the screaming, and so here's one of the things I made of when I say the director has to be have prison psychology and be ruthless and be able to bring her to tears, because he wanted her to do stuff that she didn't want to do. And he had to break her down, and she came back weeping, and then he gave her a few minutes, like, are you done with that? You know, okay, let's do it again. And then she did everything he wanted.
This sounds very much like, he sounds like the cannibal version of Stanley Kubrick.
You know, pick one.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Wow.
But the
And this was done around all the, there was in view of the tribe watching this.
well, so the tribe is out in the river in the background. So they're shooting through this. There's no walls on this. So they're in the river, you know. But there's, you know, like, I don't know, 20 or 35 Italians with these gigantic schlongs, you know, watching, you know, and I was just a little aware of that because I had to pull my pants down, and I'm like, hey, I got an idea. So I'll pull my pants down, and then you cut to that guy, you know? And I saw that guy in the pool, and, you know, I think it'll, like, play better because, like, so everybody got to see it, and finally, after 5 takes, lunch. So we go to lunch, and I'm standing in line, and, you know, it's democracy. We're all standing in line for our little cheese sandwich, and this guy comes up to me, this native. He goes, "Hey, 5 times?" I'm like, 5 times? I don't know what 5 times means. He goes, 5 times? 5 times? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, 5 times? Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I do your mother the same way, goddammit. You know? Fucking A, 5 times. What, do I look like an actor or something?
So after the movie comes out, I want to talk a little bit about that because it causes a massive uproar. They're banning it left and right. They're wanting to pull him into court. But it seems like you kind of escaped all that, right? Like it didn't.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed that my name's not on the original posters. And if you go to IMDb, my name is not listed there in the cast. And I can't account for that. I don't know why. All I know is I never heard from these people again. So I refused to talk about this honestly for a long time, but you're going to hear it. And I did tell this to somebody who came to my house to interview me. And that is, just think about this. I'm an actor, and the whole idea is to have public exposure. So now they put out this story that they wanted us to hide for a year, so that to make it look like they killed us. It's like, what? That's total horseshit. So now you know you're on the inside of this one now. No, that didn't happen. And I hate to burst your bubble on that because that's one of the things people love about this story. But no.
You would have to have massive oversight.
Massive overtime. If they would have paid me, you know, like if they would have paid me more, I would have shot the pig, but I didn't. And no, I didn't.
Well, listen, we're in the South. There's Swaggerty's down the road.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to tell you 2 reasons why I didn't shoot the pig. One is because, I rode over in the boat with him. I mean, he was my friend. We had a close personal relationship, like us, like all of us. And I knew that one day I'd have to answer for that, you know. And I also knew that I could rape somebody, but I couldn't shoot that pig.
Fake, pretend.
Well, like I explained, I still had to connect with my inner rapist, but I couldn't connect with my inner slaughterhouse guy. And plus, I had this big piece of narration I had to do right after I shoot the pig. So they had the script guy following me around all morning, going, running this line, making sure I had, and then Ruggiero goes, oh, but I only had 2 monkeys, I only had 1 pig. So
It's now or never.
So I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, well, after you shoot the pig and you do this thing, then he said, you gotta get it right the first time. I go, well, so wait a minute. You mean I'm gonna shoot the pig? It's like, what, can't we just, the magic of the movies. I'll go, bang, like that.
Get a fainting goat, scare it.
And then you cut to me up here and the pig, you hit it like that. He goes, no, and I go, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not going to do it. He goes, Luca, in this scene, you come down here and you shoot the pig, and then he does all these slides, and then he goes, but I still only have 1 pig, so don't fuck this up. Like, okay, so we get there. I hear the report from the gun. I hear the report from the pig. Ah! Like that, my mind goes totally blank. And I turn to the camera, and I must look like this, and there's Ruggiero shaking his fist at me, going, you fucker, I only have 1 pig, And it's like, too bad it's that shot. So I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Where were we?
No,
the afterwards, when it got, and what happened. Here's the weirdest thing. I was a freelance reader in New York. Instead of a waiter. Luckily, I had a girlfriend who was a literary agent who didn't like me being a waiter. And she got me a job as a reader, and turned out I was good at it. So I read books for publishing companies. I was reading 10 books a week, because they only paid me $15 a book, and I needed to cover that many books. And then I finally got over into the movie side of it, and where they paid me a lot more, because movies don't know the value of a dollar. And they, and so, at this point, I was reading for, by the way, a month after I got back from Cannibal Holocaust, I broke up with that girlfriend. And I just connected with her again a year ago, and she said, you were a mess when you came back from that movie. And I'm like, no, I wasn't.
Like some kind of
I'm a
PTSD.
man. Are you kidding me? Oh man. I fucked that girl 5 times in front of everybody. She said I was a mess. So, okay, so I'm working for United Artists, and I'm walking down the hall, and I hear this guy, I pass this room, and this guy's going, holy fuck, oh fuck, I can't fuck. I'm like, wow, something's happening in there. And I don't know this guy, he's an executive there, and he says, you gotta look at this, come here. And I look down, and it's production shots from Cannibal Holocaust. And I'm like, wow, this is so surreal. So UA had a deal to distribute Cannibal Holocaust in America until it got seized by the censors. And so I look down, and I'm like, fuck, that's me. And he goes, no, yes, oh fuck. So we just stood there and said fuck for a while, And then I said, well, I sure would like to have some of these pictures. And he goes, yeah, I'll give them to you, which is, akin to, the checks in the mail, I won't come in your mouth, But I never saw those pictures from this guy. Because anyway, the deal fell through because of the thing, and that was my first lesson about Hollywood, where I went later on.
Well, I'll tell you, the movie itself, regardless of whether people, there's some people that get upset about certain scenes, or there's this, or there's that. The movie is and will live in infamy. It will never die. It will always be passed down as a kind of, this is the most disturbing film of all time. And it'll always be kind of rediscovered by new grindhouse fans who want to get a taste of film that's on the more extreme side. And you're a part of that. And I think it's a part of horror art. I mean, it's
I'll
kind
tell
of
you why I think it really is gonna have legs for a long time, because it's more than just gore. There's a substructure to this movie that's there's that weak commentary about, who's the real cannibals? Like, that's so stupid, It would be stupider if it hadn't been for this as a metaphor for how imperialist countries, go into, third world countries to exploit people. Because that's exactly what my crew did. We paid the price, but because there's a lot of truth in that, and you don't have to look far to see it. And one of the real magic of the movies is that if you do it right, you send that message and you hide it. You hide that message. But people come away feeling like they've seen something, they've learned something, and it changes their view of the world. Killing animals on film, I didn't do it. I wouldn't, and I didn't support it. But I was 1,800 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, and there were no PETA people on the set. There were no SAG, Screen Actors Guild's representatives on the set. There were nobody to talk. In fact, I thought I wasn't sure if they were going to kill me. So I carried all of my money and my plane tickets with me all the time. So I already described to you 45 minutes up the river, then you go up the tributary, then you go out in the middle of some fucking nowhere. So how does that work? I got all my money, so they're about to kill me. So now I'm going to run back through the jungle to this airstrip in a jungle I don't know with people. I mean, that didn't make any sense. It just didn't make any sense.
Some kind of self-security, mental security.
But it was a little bit of security. It was as much as I could muster without just quitting. I didn't quit. I'm glad I didn't.
Well, we're glad you didn't, and we thank you so much for coming out here, meeting with these fans, and sitting down and taking the time to really dig deep into the lore that is Cannibal Holocaust. And I think all of us can appreciate you. You've been an absolute joy to be around so far.
Thank you. I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you guys. Because a lot of you have been to the table, and we've had some great conversations, and I'm really happy to meet you all. Thank you.
Guys, thank you. Give it up for Mr. Paul Giller.
Oh, and you can all come to the table and buy some more shit. Really, I won't stop you.